Hey, Luca Nation, it's Cage. You know we're bringing you something different when you hear my voice, and it's not our normal opening. Tonight's an important episode for us here at Lucas Tigers and Bronze. Important for us and important for Luca Nation as a whole. We're announcing with our guest here a strategic partnership with StarStock. Our guest is Scott Greenberg, the co-founder and CEO of StarStock. And for those of you guys who don't know, StarStock is a new platform for trading cards that allows you to submit your cards in. They're stored, the physical cards are stored in a secure vault. And then buyers are able to make trades of those cards at scale. There's an immediate transfer of ownership. And basically what the guys over at StarStock are trying to do is bring a stock market style approach to card investing. And, I have an account myself, and it's a unique way of investing and trading in cards. It's just not available anywhere else in the market. I can just give you an example of myself from last Thursday. During the Raider game, I bought and sold Marcus Mariota cards. I never actually had the physical card. I bought the card on StarStock and then sold the card myself later on, obviously not for less money. So read into that whatever you like, but it's definitely fun. You guys have heard me talk about some of the pain points in the hobby that I personally have had, and this type of platform allows just a different approach to it and takes out some of those pain points. So what we've done is we've partnered with StarStock, and we have a code for you guys. It's Luca Nation. You guys should be able to remember that one, let's hope. It's Luca Nation. And any user that signs up using Luca Nation as their promo code gets $10 in credit with any deposit of $5 or more. So how do you beat that? Put $5 in, you get $10. And, take a spin. Take a spin on the site, and then, message me, message our account, message Lucas Tigers and Bronze, and let me know what you think. I'll tell you what I'm investing in myself. So it's definitely fun. And like I said, it's a different way of investing now. And it's really cool, pretty fast paced. And, we're happy to be partnering with StarStock here. And going forward, you're going to hear from us once a week with an episode about what's going on StarStock, the trading, the hot cards, the cold cards. They have some really great research on the site itself, something like you'd find on a stock account. Market mover type of analysis. Who's hot this week? Whose cards have gone up this week? What cards are new to their vault? What cards are being bought and sold at a higher clip? And it's just a real cool piece of card data that's not available anywhere else. So we'll be bringing you episodes that talk about what's going on there and, what's going on in the hobby itself and how that's playing out in this immediate transfer of cards. So we wanted to bring that to you and announce today with our special guest that we're going to be bringing you, this partnership. Code again is Luca Nation. And we hope you enjoyed this episode with Scott Greenberg, the co-founder and CEO of StarStock. And you'll be hearing from us about this at least once a week, where we're going to be bringing you some information about what's going on in the card trading world and what we see on StarStock. So we hope you enjoy it. Again, Luca Nation is the code. And after you jump on there and after you sign up, send us a message. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you like. Hell, tell us what you don't like. I mean, we have a direct access to StarStock, and we can tell them what you're telling us. And that's valuable to us and to them. So enjoy, guys. Enjoy this episode. And again, code Luca Nation. Thank you.
So Luca Nation, we want to welcome you guys back to what I think is going to be a very, very special episode today. And 2020 has been the year of the hobby. And I think there's going to be some really, really interesting companies that form, grow, emerge out of this year. And they have a lasting impact on what the hobby does long term. And I think StarStock is going to be one of those companies. And I'm excited to connect today with the co-founder, the CEO, Mr. Scott Greenberg, on the call today. Scott, say hello to Luca Nation. It's really, really a pleasure to have you on.
Luca Nation, thank you for having me. It's been a long time coming. I'm excited.
This is awesome.
I love it.
This is good stuff.
Tell us, where did the idea of StarStock come from?
Founded the company with my two partners, Nigel and Mike. Mike and I both grew up big collectors. Nigel grew up in Northern Ireland and didn't really know what sports cards were until a few years ago, but his background was in fantasy sports and sports betting. And, Mike and I both grew up big collectors and, put aside the hobby for several years, I guess. And we're getting back into it around the same time. This was like 2 years ago. And I was good friends with Nigel and Mike was working with Nigel. And so, I was meeting with Nigel pretty frequently at the time, talking about just sports and business, things like that. And then my meetings with Nigel turned into meetings with Nigel and Mike so we could talk about sports cards. And before we knew it, the three of us were spending our time on eBay and other websites, just trying to buy as many cards as possible. But we thought there was a lot of friction out there, and we thought that there's a lot of pain points in the hobby. And for me personally, like being a millennial that kind of grew up in the fantasy football kind of era with all these great products that we have, personally, I just didn't understand how there wasn't a product out there that just made it easier and safer to trade cards. And so we set out to build StarStock, and really our focus is enabling people to trade players instantly and at scale, and to really, create a game out of trading sports cards. And so that's what we've done here at StarStock.
I love it. And guys, so StarStock, this is the name of the company. A lot of Luca Nation listeners to this may not have even heard of it. So go check them out. Go take a look. Scott, we're going to walk through some of the stuff here. I assumed coming on today that Scott just basically created this in the last 48 hours, this whole company, because of my video about my fear of eBay basically ruining the hobby experience for me. But obviously
that was the real story.
That's the real
actually.
story.
Yeah.
That's it. So there's no Nigel. He just invented Nigel. Nigel doesn't actually exist. It's just
You're Nigel.
I'm Nigel. That's it. I think I could be a Nigel. I think I could pull it off. So Nigel, I just think of like, is he British? I mean, I don't know. It's just what I think of. Nigel Foles. So in any event, so here we go. The fun stuff, right? The fun stuff. StarStock. Here's what I think of when I looked it up, because I have an account. I actually signed up. Ian has an account, Ian's Cards, my son. Everybody from Luca Nation knows. And I love putting him on there and seeing what he's gravitating towards, what he's going to put into his account, what he's looking for in the StarStock. But here's my best, and tell me where I'm wrong. So I'm an old man, right? Listen, I bring this from a different aspect of the hobby. And Netflix, Netflix is what I think of you guys as. I think of eBay as cable TV. I think of eBay as the old way of doing it. I think of you guys as like Netflix. I think of like cord cutting. And you mentioned a millennial. I make fun of millennials, but I won't make fun of you because I think you have a genius idea here, which is cutting the cord on eBay and cutting the cord on the other platforms. And you talked about the pain points that we have in our hobby and some of the issues that there are in moving us towards where I think this hobby should go. And I think StarStock addresses, if not all of them, 99% of them. And I know you're going to grow with it, and you're going to adapt to the market as it goes. But let me raise a couple things that I think are important, and then kind of talk to me about it so our audience gets to learn. So my biggest thing with right now on eBay is returns. Right, it's my biggest thing, and it's PayPal. You make a payment, you buy a card. I said this in the video, right? I buy a card on eBay, and I think this guy's going to be great this year. Right? Let's just say I went crazy on Gordon Hayward last week. Now I'm not saying he's going to have a problem this year, but I bought a whole bunch of Gordon Hayward because my son and I like to watch the Hornets. And yesterday they announced he broke a finger. I'm like, oh. Now, if I did that, right, if I were an unscrupulous person, I could turn around and say, the card has a print line on it. I don't know if you follow, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, but Phil Hughes, former Yankee pitcher, he's all over Twitter. And he had somebody return a card on him because of a print line. And he's going crazy. Yep. He's like, I'm never going to sell this for what it's sold for on opening day of the product release, you name it. So StarStock avoids a lot of that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No refunds on our site. Yeah, I always found that ironic. The print line didn't show up till the injury happened, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. For me, and what the founding team, kind of our vision was, when I was getting back in, I had some cards that I wanted to collect, that I wanted to keep at my house, in my room, next to my bed, wherever. I wanted to look at them every day. But in order to afford those cards, the Tiger Woods cards and the Carmelo Anthony's and the Kobe's, I was flipping cards in order to make money to buy those cards. And so I'm a big college basketball fan. And so when I got back in, I saw an opportunity to take that knowledge in college basketball and to apply it to, NBA cards, specifically rookies, second and third year players, and to try to make a profit off of it. And so I did it in order to buy the cards I wanted to collect. And it was also fun. I saw it as, a different way of gambling or playing a fantasy sport. And so what started happening to me was I was buying these players that I thought had maybe 3 or 4 weeks of an easy schedule that I can flip after they have a huge game. And often, the card was still in the mail when it was the best time to flip that card, or I was like at the bar, or I was at, a friend's house or whatever it was. And just like, what am I going to do? Drop everything and run home and take a picture and list it on eBay. And so what I just didn't understand, because I'm used to setting a fantasy football lineup a few seconds before games start, or you can place a bet whenever you want from your phone. I thought that sports cards needed that. And that's what what Nigel, Mike, and I kind of identified when we started the company. And so really what we focus on is allowing people to invest or buy cards at scale and instantaneously. And so you can buy a player 10 minutes before kickoff. And if that player has 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, you can sell them off right away. And you can do it from your cell phone. You can do it from your computer, no matter where you are. And so that's really, what we were looking to build was a site where you can actually watch the games and engage and trade players while you're watching.
Like in-game betting. I love it. So just so I have it right? So people will send you cards. You house them. You will store the cards. There's a physical asset. There's a physical card that someone is selling, right? You have a listing on there for that card. You have how many of them you guys have in-house. We can get to the different levels of the card in a second because I do want to get through the detail on that. But basically, you're able to set a price for your card. And if that person has a touchdown in Monday Night Football, the lowest price of that card might actually see it gets sold. And now then there's a new low price. And someone might come in and screw up all the low price ones because you're able to basically in-game trade that asset. And if that person who buys it wants it shipped, they can get the card. They can get the physical asset if they want it. Or they can, during the second quarter, relist it for a higher price themselves. And if the person goes on to have a 3-touchdown game, within that same game, sell that same card that they just bought for, let's say, $4, they'll sell for $10. And do an in-game flip right there without ever touching the physical asset. Is that about right?
That's about right.
That's amazing.
Example,
that's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. It really is. No, because you touched on a point. Forget about just eBay with returns. Andrew and I talked this morning about one of my pain points right now. It's not eBay's fault. It's the post office. I mean, I got cards I bought in November that aren't here. I mean, these guys, some of the cards that I bought have gone up and back down. And hopefully start to go back up again. And that's not eBay's fault. It's just the post office fault. You're taking that out of the equation.
Totally. And I'm sure a lot of those cards you eventually want in person that you'll want to keep in person. But I'm sure there are some of those cards that you don't actually have like an emotional tie to. You don't really care about. You're just buying them and you have some sort of plan in the future if you're going to sell them off, if you're going to give them to someone.
Yep.
But if you're not emotionally tied to that card and you don't want to look at it and hold it in person, in some ways it's a liability to have around. And it's better to have somewhere where it's safe and where you can sell it off wherever you want. Like when Joe Burrow got injured a few weeks ago, you had 60 seconds less really actually to get to Ryan Finley and buy up his cards before those prices started moving. And the first people that got to Ryan Finley bought him for $1 and were able to like relist him for $3 or $4. Same thing, the hot name in the hobby right now is Talon Horton Tucker. And so last week when he went off, card price moves to $13 from 50 cents. Then LeBron tweets about him. Then he scores 33 points. It goes up to $17. And now it's already back down to $13. And that happened all in the matter of 36 hours. And so if you don't have a market that can really capture that real life timing of everything, then you can't really trade these cards like this.
I'd also say eBay fees, taxes, and shipping cut into margin, right? So like I had a play earlier this year with Tyler Hero Hoops card. It was like $1 card. But then when it comes to getting that card with taxes and shipped, and by the time it arrives, it became an $8 card, but all in, I already paid $5. So it really did cut into the margin quite a bit there.
Totally. Yeah, no, 100%. And it's frustrating. So since our cards are all stored in a vault, our model allows us to charge a 5% seller fee, which typically is standard in the markets around 15%, maybe 10 to 15%. So that's pretty attractive to our sellers. We also take a lot of work off your hands. Like one thing that was always really bittersweet for me was it's really nice when you sell a card because you're about to get paid, but the work that goes into it sucks, printing out the shipping label, getting the packing materials, the top loader, putting it into a box, taking it to the post office. And if you're running, if you're selling multiple cards a day, or if you're selling 100 cards a week, going to the post office a lot. And it's exhausting. And so our site, when you sell a card, you get an email that the card's changed ownership to a new person. There's nothing else you need to do. If that person wants the card shipped out, we take care of that for you.
So I had the privilege of working for an ID verification company in San Francisco. And back in 2015, we met with two companies. One was Robinhood and the other was Coinbase. And those companies were very early on when we first met with them. And what was interesting about those companies when we first met with them was how much they increased the adoption for other users. So what I mean by that is, for example, Robinhood has no fees when you trade with them. And Cage and I, we talk a lot, are we in the first inning of this hobby? Are we in the third inning? Are we in the fifth, ninth, whatever? Well, what Robinhood did, what Coinbase did, was because their tool was so easy to use, their fees were low, Robinhood had no fees, they created such a low barrier to entry that they allowed for easy trading, easy purchase of Bitcoin, easy purchase of crypto, without all the headaches of like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. And a lot of people getting into this hobby, I must have got 20 DMs in the last 2 weeks asking, where do I start? What's the first card to buy? Where do I have it shipped? Where do I get card supplies? These are all headaches. These are all barriers to entry. What I see as StarStock is they lower the barrier to entry to almost zero, and they're going to be able to increase the adoption for our new hobbyists, so to speak. Am I on the right track, Scott? Do you agree with that? Do you see what I'm seeing there?
Oh, 100%. There's a huge barrier to entry to get into cards. I've been doing this for a few years now. I work on it full time. It's my job, it's my life. And I still feel like I'm learning as I'm going along. And so at every single point, the research aspect is really tough. Trying to make the purchase is tough. And keeping track of your portfolio and all that stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. And as I was talking to my friends when I was just initially getting back in, telling them, stop putting money into sports betting, stop playing DFS. Like, this is really what you should be focusing on. There's a huge opportunity here and it's a lot of fun. None of them wanted to go to the post office. None of them wanted to put in that work. And they all knew which players were undervalued. They just didn't know which cards to buy. They're like, all right, I understand. I want to get a Zion, but which one should I buy? And Panini creates 28 different sets. And there's, different parallels and there's inserts. And so there's thousands of cards you can choose from. And so that's really a huge goal of ours, is to create a platform that makes it easier and to some extent enables people that are huge sports fans that don't know that much about cards to come to our site and buy into a player. And so that's something that we're always thinking about, and something that we're starting to roll out into the product as well. We launched I think the first NBA sports card index. It's called the NBA Emerging 30. And so what we did there was we took the 30 best prospects based on their Prism StarStock A price, and we put them all into an index. And so by doing that, it allows you to look at just the overall index trend and see how the basketball market's doing it from like a very high level. But you can also click into a chart that we have that will show you the price for all 30 of these players. And since it's the same exact card and the same exact grade, the asset's uniform across the whole index. And so you don't even need to know that you're looking at cards. You're just looking at players' names and like a number next to them. And so you can find that one player is going for a lot more money than another player that you think is better than that person. Then you just found someone that you think's undervalued, and that might be a good person for you to buy up. And so that's kind of something that you'll see a lot more on our product, is trying to take out that education piece of trying to figure out which card should I get, and just making it more simple to allow people that know that a player is undervalued to go and buy that player.
I love it, right? Because, I mean, think about it, right? Not only are you providing a platform for it, when I log on my brokerage account for stocks, they have data, not just about my portfolio, but about here's what's the top traded card today, like the top traded stock today by volume, you know, the ones that are going up, the ones that are going down, the index movers. You have that. I mean, if you get on that StarStock site, it is an education tool. Andrew and I always preach that what we'd like to do is add value. That's why I like what you're bringing to the table, because there's an added value there, right? And it allows you very easily to find, okay, this guy is underpriced compared to this one.
Yeah.
This is a person I'm going to invest in. Good.
You want a good one? I just pulled it up.
Yeah, sure.
Like, here's one that I see. I don't own any of these players, by the way. I don't own cards of any of these players. But Michael Porter Jr. is trading at $80, and Bam Adebayo's at 57. And that's interesting to me. And I think MPJ has huge upside. But he hasn't been doing it that long. He's barely played a full season. And he's a lot more than Bam is. And Bam has shown the past couple of years that he is very, very serious. He might be a future all-star. And so that I think that's an interesting one. Or you can say that, Ja Morant trading at basically $100 more than Donovan Mitchell is interesting as well.
Oh yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. Listen, I see so many different avenues to go here, but here's my question, because there's lots to unpack in what you just did, not only the research, but one of the cool things that you talked about, you just kind of dropped it, but our audience is not going to know what it is, StarStock A. So I want to talk to you about that, because when I'm on the site, I see different ways to buy a card. If I want to buy a Devontae Graham, which I'll always go back to, that's my default. That's my guy. That's my, 6'1" guard. I don't know how he's going to survive in the NBA, but that's my guy, right? So when I try to buy his cards, I see PSA 10s available. I see PSA 9s available. I see StarStock AB available. I think I saw StarStock C, but I don't want to, So tell me what happens. Tell me about the intake. I'm going to package up a bunch of Devontae Graham Prism-based cards and some variations for you. I put them in a box. I send them in. Walk me through it. Walk our audience through it. That way, we're going to have people doing this. And what happens with the cards? How do you get a StarStock A versus B? I'll shut up. Your turn.
Yeah, I'll explain the grades, and then I'll explain how our processing works. So basically, we created what we call a light grading system. We created it out of just getting burned by buying raw cards too many times. And so
it's a real thing.
Oh, it's totally a real thing. I'm sure all the listeners can, definitely has had similar experiences. When you buy a raw card online and you look at the pictures, you can kind of zoom in on the photo as much as you want, but typically the card that shows up in the mail looks a lot different. And so the way we thought of this is we're processing these cards anyway, and we have to store all of them anyways. And so we have a team here that gives all these raw cards a light grade. And so they look at them with a naked eye for a few seconds, and we look at the centering, we look at the edges, we look at the corners, and we look at the surface. And in our opinion, if we don't find any issues with the cards, it gets an A. Mm-hmm. That is our stamp that we think that there's a good chance that it can get a 9 or 10. Not all A's are going to get 9s and 10s, but we think a very good percentage of them will.
Don't hold us to it, but you buy a lot of 10 cards, you're going to be able to put them in stacks. You're going to say these are the ones that would grade good, these are the ones that won't grade good, and but it's a real value add.
Yeah,
it really is.
No, we take it very seriously. Typically, we get 10 times more complaints about people that are upset with the amount of B's they got than the other way around, complaining about the quality of an A. When someone buys a StarStock A, we want them to know that this is a good raw card, because they might choose to grade it. They might choose to gift it to someone. And so if there's 1 or 2 minor issues, maybe a soft corner, a dimple, we'll give it a B. And if there's major issues, we'll give it a C. This is a card that has a big print line on it, or when the printing's off, especially on like the rookie card shield, it's like an inch up or an inch down. Those typically get C's, or ones that come with just like bad corners, all 2 or 3 dinged up corners or 4 dinged up corners. Those get C as well. Some people like buying C's. If you're never going to get the card shipped home and you want to buy into a player at a lower entry point, then C's are great for you. If you're looking to buy raw cards and ship them out to PSA and get them graded, then StarStock A's are awesome because, we already looked at them and we've identified them as good looking raw cards. And so we built out that system just to provide a little bit more trust when buying raw cards.
When I was buying raw cards, it's not that I needed to know that they're going to be a 9 or a 10. What I actually needed to know, and what you guys do a good job of, is that there's no noticeable defect, right? So what really good, I'm using parentheses, good sellers do is they're able to know which angle to take the photos from, right? And depending on which angle you take a photo from, you can or can't tell if there's noticeable flaws. So that's what I love about buying an A is I know that it's been inspected. There's not a huge scratch down the back and things like that. So I think that's the big value for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I can tell you guys how we process cards because that was the first part of that question. So we'll get submissions ranging from one card that someone's sending us directly from eBay or directly from a card breaker. We'll also get people that send in their whole entire collection. It's like 10,000 cards at a time. People that send at scale love it because if they were to list 10,000 cards on another website, they'd maybe have to package those all up individually or in groups of 5 or 10 and ship them all off. And so if you have a 1,000 cards that you want to sell, you can ship them all to us at once. You only have to go through that process once, and then they're all here. When we get them, we pick them up at the post office. We process them. For the raw cards, they get a light grade, and then they get stored away. The graded cards go right to the data entry point. And so graded cards and wax get inputted within 48 hours. It's usually within 24 hours if we open up the box that day. While raw cards need to get graded and then inputted and typically take about 1 to 3 weeks to get inputted into your collection. And as soon as it's in your collection, they go off to the vault where they sit until anyone requests to get one of those cards shipped out.
So talk to me. I send you in 10 Devontae Graham base. You give me half of them A's, half of them B's. Do I get an email from you asking me what price I want to list it at? It just goes in my vault. How does it work?
You'll get an email saying, congrats, your cards are in your collection. Here's a link to go check out your collection. And then you can go in there and you can list the cards yourself. And so you'll click on the card, you'll type in your quantity, you'll type in your price, you'll click confirm. It takes 2 or 3 seconds.
That's amazing. And then it's done. That's it. If it sells, you pay me.
That's it.
And
if it sells, you get an email saying that it's sold. If you get a bid you list it for $5, you get a bid for $4. We'll send you an email saying, hey, you just got a bid. Do you want to accept it? Or do you want to leave it? And when it sells, there's nothing for you to do.
Amazing.
I love it. I'll tell you guys, I've been in Mexico for this entire COVID kind of 6 months to 8 months. And having tools like this, Scott, we only met a few weeks ago where things might have been different. But actually what's interesting, when you first start in this hobby, you want to keep all the profit, right? You don't want consigners, you don't want to give away percentages. You're like, nah, it's all mine. But what I've actually realized is having tools, having resources, having companies and people like you, Scott, to help me when I'm traveling and I don't have the ability to, house the cards, go to the post office, ship them out. Having them all in one location, I've made more money. I've had less stress in my life, and I've enjoyed other parts of the hobby, like networking and connecting with people and finding good deals. And I've let companies that have, and I've used this word a ton, Cage hates it, Luca Nation hates, loves it probably, systems. I love having a system in place. And that's what it sounds like you've built, right? A beautiful system with ease of use. And hey, if you need this, I got you. If you need this, I got you. And it's helped me so much. So I'm a use case in a lot of ways for the people listening to, hey, these things work. They really help.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have tons of international users on our site. And those are the guys, like we think us here in the US have a hard time buying and selling cards. Like they're the ones that have an even harder time. And what you won't realize until you try to buy a card and ship it internationally, it's like maybe 5% of sellers out there will actually ship the card internationally. And so I was trying to buy a few cards for some friends that I have in the UK. And I had to contact like 10 sellers before I found one that would actually ship it internationally. And then imagine getting the card internationally and wanting to get it graded. Like we complain about our prices and our waiting times and our shipping. Like imagine what it's like. There are so many collectors in Australia. It's actually our third biggest country on our site. Imagine what it's like trying to get it graded from there. So our site's awesome for international buyers and sellers because they save on all these ridiculous fees that they have. They don't need to ship the product back and forth unless they know 100% that they want it. If they want to, take a card from the StarStock vault and get it graded, we do PSA submissions now. So they're really able to operate within the hobby, just like they're in America or in the US, and it makes things easier for them. So
a couple
that's
things.
Definitely
Luca Nation has a huge Australia following. Shout out to our Aussies out there. I give them a hard time every now and again, but it's because I love Outback Steakhouse, but they think that's all I know about Australia. Brother. But Bloomin' Onion, man, I'll go with that anytime I can. So, but we have Aussies, so many great collectors. But I mean,
it's unbelievable. Like they have such a hotbed over there. It's nuts.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, listen, you talk about buying stuff from overseas. I just had to I spent 2 hours on the phone with someone from Customs to get a Pokemon card in. I mean, it's just amazing the stuff that you're able to cut out of the equation. It just really is.
That's how you know you love cards, right?
Yeah.
You're deep into this hobby when you're on the phone with Customs trying to get a Pokemon card sent in.
Yeah, and that's that's called Tuesday for me. But yes, it's amazing. It really is. But I mean, listen, Andrew, I don't know about you, man, but I'm thinking we need to. We need to get in bed with Scott here. We need, because we have this, we know what the pain points are for our listeners here. And it sounds like to me, and guys, if you haven't already done this while you're listening to this episode, jump over to starstock.com, check out the website, because what you're getting here is a full all-in platform for trading your cards, for doing it in a way that you're not able to do. So as well as, even if you don't sign up right now, right? Look at the research that's available for you there. Look at the index, the top 30 index, the hot and cold players, the who's trading against who. It's just an impressive thing. But let me, I got a question for you, Scott. Unless Andrew, you got something you want to? No, that's not me in the background there.
I'm hearing some background noise.
Yeah, it's probably Scott's office.
Yeah, I'll move to a better location.
No, you're good. But just real quick, and you're going to ask the question here. Cage, I don't know if your generation did this. More than likely not, because, you went to college, you went right to work, because that's the most important thing in life is to work. Yep. But our generation, these millennials, we're taking time in our 20s to go travel the world, to experience, to create content and become Instagram influencers. Yep. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but Instagram influencers, they don't make a lot of money. They actually make none. And what I've seen with them is, you see Tim Sykes, and he offers penny day trading and penny stocks and how to make money there. And there's all these ways to make money while you travel. Well, before tools like StarStock, there weren't a way for me to actually keep making money on cards while I'm traveling. I'm a content creator. I want to go to Bali. I want to go to Tulum. I want to do photo shoots. But hey, I need to pay for it. I need a partner like StarStock that can get my cards, could handle the logistics, could receive them, could email me, could do customer service, could consign them, could help me with grading. Hey, and I'm doing my photo shoots and I'm building my business here on my left. And I've got a team and a system on my right that's constantly kicking me cash so I could be and run a successful business.
Well, I think what
that's
you're saying,
a bigger deal.
That's got to be our next. That's got to be our next Instagram ad, right? Like, you want to go to Bali, make some money on StarStock.
yeah. Use StarStock. Go to Bali. I love it. But really, what it boils down to, what Andrew's saying, is
100%
the value of time. Right? You're talking about the value of time, right? Because you have other things you want to do. And normally the value of time, having a logistics company like what you're offering to someone who's selling cards, you're basically a backbone logistics. You're a virtual assistant. You're listing it for people on the front end. You're intaking it. You're doing a soft grade. And then you're providing a platform with a wider distribution than someone would have on their normal eBay platform for themselves with 500 feedback or whatever it may be. In addition, you're providing research on it. You're providing liquidity. And then when something sells, you're taking care of the logistics on the back end. So your input, it is full service. And normally to do something like that, you would have to pay more than the going rate of you doing it yourself, the 13% that eBay is going to take. Instead, you're charging 8% less. You're charging 5%. So, I mean, the value of time there, not having to list it yourself, not having to go to the post office a million times a day, not having to pack it up and ship it and bubble wrap it and do all the labeling and wait for the post office tracking and all this other, mumbo jumbo that's going on. I mean, it's a huge value add. But I'm going to tell you what, here's my question on it. Then I'll give you a story, just, personal story here. My question is, I don't know if you've paid attention to the market this year, right? And I gave eBay a real hard time in that video. And I apologize. And I'm somebody from 1996 eBay user, and I have 100% feedback. And I've been on eBay since you had to pay by money order, right? So trust me, I have plenty of experience with eBay. It is a dinosaur. It's oil heat. Get to natural gas, everybody. So, but or electric or whatever, solar panels. That might be what you guys are. But here's my thing. One day, someone's going to teach a master's class in a business school, whether it's Wharton or the Harvard School of Business, whoever it is, about sports cards in 2020. Someone's going to teach sports cards in 2020. You're going to teach it, Andrew? Okay, great. Maybe. I feel bad for the young ladies in that class. I'm
going to tell them. I grew up across the street. I went to Drexel, and now I'm here.
So Wharton
started from the bottom. Sorry.
Because it started from the bottom, yeah. Well, so there were so many ups and downs and so many movements in the market in 2020. And I'll just throw out there, I don't know if you followed Project 2020 at all. That was the Topps release, right? And the pre-selling of that went on. The ups and downs in the modern markets, the baseball market, the vintage football market, the vintage basketball market, just the constant swings, the ups and the downs, the what I would consider money being made on paper that never actually materialized. I can tell you, if you go back to when Project 2020, Memorial Day weekend was like the watershed event on Project 2020. There were people who, if you counted their paper money, were millionaires. But overnight, that money was gone. That money was just because everything that they sold, the value of these cards they were getting in, these, the Trout Ermsies and all these things, all of a sudden they just tanked, they just cratered, and everybody was able to kind of reverse all the transactions, and that money never materialized. That can't. This is the only place where that happens. And I mean, my deal on it. When I talk about you even brought up sports betting. You talked about fantasy sports. You name it. The in-game betting and that kind of stuff. You're able to avoid that. Your platform avoids all of that. If a card is worth what it's worth right now, and you transact in that card right now, the price is set. There's no going back. There's no turning back. You've locked in your lineup. You've created your fantasy lineup. You've put your bet in, and you're done. There's no changing your mind on that after the fact, and that is, I think, huge. I think the importance of that can't be overstated.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when you make a trade, the money's yours immediately. It's in your account.
That's right.
You can take it out. You can do whatever you want with it. It's your money. So you might put it back into cards, or you might cash it out and, go put it towards a trip to Tulum or whatever it is that you're looking to do.
Bali, right?
Bali's amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, that it's your money. And so you should be able to get access to it right away. Scott, you shouldn't have to pay to get access to it either.
Can I pick your brain? For our hobbyists, as I keep calling them, that were into sports betting, and now they're transitioning into the card world. Can you give us a few things that you learned? You've just traveled that path. You were someone who's watched sports, who's wagered on sports. Give us a few things that you've learned that might be some transferable skills.
Yeah. So the first thing, right off the bat, is it's not a zero-sum game, and that's why you shouldn't lose as much money in cards as you can in sports betting, or that's what I saw. So one example that was interesting, and so this was my partner's pickup, actually, not mine. But this was the NFL playoffs this past year. He was looking for a couple teams to root for. So before the playoffs, he bought a Patrick Mahomes rookie card, and he bought a Jimmy Garoppolo rookie card. A little backstory: my partner's really, really lucky. He always hits the best possible outcome. And so this was obviously the case. The two quarterbacks that meet in the Super Bowl are Patrick Mahomes and Jimmy Garoppolo. And so the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes' card just goes through the roof. He finally gets his Super Bowl MVP. Jimmy Garoppolo's kind of fell down to a little bit above what it was before the playoffs. Point being is he could have just taken a bet on the Chiefs and on the 49ers. But instead, he basically did the same thing by buying those rookie cards of the two quarterbacks, which are the most valuable players on each team. And so the point is that he made money on the Mahomes and he didn't lose money on his team that lost. It basically just dropped back down to where it was before. And so that's the part that's really interesting about this is it's not a zero-sum game. It's not you win $100 or you lose $100. You could win $100 or you could lose $5, or you can lose $100 or win $5. And so that's something that I thought was really intriguing about it. The other thing is it's very analytically focused. It kind of taps into the same part of your brain as fantasy sports and sports betting. And so I wasn't really a big sports bettor on a day-to-day basis, but I loved future bets. Almost every single NBA season, I'll take a rookie of the year choice. I'll take an NBA team to win the title. A few other kind of which players will make the All-Star game, which teams will have over amount of wins, things like that. And so this taps right into that. You're just looking for people that are undervalued, that you think can just perform a little bit better than most people are expecting. And so if you're into sports betting, if you're into fantasy sports, this is perfect. This is right up your alley. A great way to make money.
You just raised something, which was great. You talk about hey, I want to do a futures bet on who's the rookie of the year going to be this year coming up, right? And, I'm going to use Tatis from last year for the MVP race. It's a shortened season, you name it. That's one of my guys. And I may use your my wife may love the fact that I may use your platform because I have 162 PSA 10 Tatis rookies in my basement. So wouldn't it be great to just mail them to you and you house them and I have the ability to sell them?
That's actually the part that we haven't spoken about yet are the wives and the girlfriends.
Yep.
That is a whole other benefit to StarStock.
So wouldn't it be great because now you guys have to worry about it and I get my basement back, right? So trust me, she's going to be happy about this development too.
She's your biggest fan, Cage. She even offered to build a whole podcast studio in the basement for you.
She did. She definitely did.
Wow.
But here's the deal, right? So Darren Rovell, fan of the podcast, he and I go back and forth about the Rock tuna fish card and my Pele card and which one's a cooler looking card. But he posted something yesterday. In the beginning of the season, he bet on Northwestern to win their conference, right? And I don't know if it was $1,000 bet or a $2,000 bet, but it would pay $250,000 if it happens. It's a crazy bet, and they're actually doing pretty well.
Yeah, they're doing great.
He gets a cash out option, which is a new phenomena in books, right? That you're able to, they'll buy your bet now, at a certain price. And I think his $1,000 bet would pay $30,000 now. It wouldn't pay the full $250,000, but he's posting it. I got a lot of money running.
They're at disastrous odds, to be quite honest. But yes, they do offer the cash out feature.
But whatever it may be, right? So forget about the disastrous odds for a second. What I think of with StarStock is last year with Tatis, at a point in the season where he was the front runner for the MVP, if I wanted to cash out on that card immediately, you have it on your platform, you take the offer, you sell it at a high point. I don't have to worry about him, and this is if I wanted to cash out, right? I've made my bet. He's at this high point. I want to take some money off now. I've watched the games and I don't think he's going to finish strong. I think he's going to hit a wall happened. Obviously there's hindsight. It's 2020. But had I had that thought, I could have cashed out at a high point on his cards and not worry about returns, not doing it, move it into something else, bet on Mookie Betts, bet on, Freeman, or you have the ability to, your platform has that in-game, in-season, cash out option. I mean, it really is. It provides a liquidity that just is not there right now.
Yeah. And for some, sports cards kind of offer things that you can't really bet on. So for example, I only had one StarStock A card, just to be upfront about it. I had one StarStock A card for Roy Hachimura. The market started going so crazy and it got to $31, $32. And I was like, this is too high. I haven't seen, he's got a lot of upside potentially. He's a very hot name in the hobby, but I didn't see enough from him to demand that price. And so I can't take a bet that's just Hachimura is a little bit overvalued, right? What would that bet look like?
Yeah.
He's not going to be an all-star this year. He's not going to be an MVP. He was a rookie last year, so he can't be in the rookie of the year bet. How do I take a bet on Hachimura this year? Maybe you can try to find like an over under on his average points per game or something, but it's really tough. But with sports cards, all I need to know is like, is he just a little overvalued or is he a little undervalued? And you can make a bet on a player. And so that's kind of what drew me back into sports cards. I just thought that was fascinating.
That's actually it was a great point. It's a way to bet on a player. I mean, it really is. It's the closest thing to stock in a company. But Rui, you can't say anything bad. That's my son. Ian likes Rui.
You like Rui?
So that Ian does. Ian's going to have a whole Rui account with Ian's cards on StarStock is going to be all Rui cards. He likes.
Maybe he bought my card. I sold it 2 days ago. Maybe he was the one who bought it.
He might have, but I have a feel. I tried to talk him down too during the bubble. I don't think Rui took advantage of his opportunity. So I'm with you on him. I think he's a little overvalued, but I can't talk my son out of anything.
Scott,
he's
so
the boss.
This has come a long way from just an idea with your two buddies to now it's a company. Now, if you could put on that CEO Scott hat, this is a growing business. This is a legit player in the market. First off, we didn't even take a moment to congratulate you. I know when you get funding, it comes with a lot of excitement and a lot of pressure. But hey, it is what it is. CEO Scott, talk to us what is it the culture that you're building at StarStock? What do you want StarStock to be about? And what does the future hold?
Yeah, absolutely. We just want to make it easy for people to trade cards and engage with these athletes while they're watching games. Just to really, the focus is how can we build out this really cool stock market product where people can feel like they're buying into the players, and just to make it really easy to flip cards while you're watching the game. That's kind of the vision. We've come a long way. We launched with 3,000 cards about half a year ago. We're at around 350,000 cards in the vault now. We have an awesome user base that's growing, and we continue to build more liquidity every single day. We're super, super appreciative of all the people out there that are sending us their cards and trusting us. And the future, we're really excited. Big priorities, just getting as many cards onto the site, continuing to build out liquidity, continuing to offer, really, really good prices, and to do it for for a cheaper transaction fee. And then we're very, very product focused. You're going to see a lot of really cool product enhancements over these next few months or so and into 2021. We want to make it really easy for people to do research on our site and to buy on our site. And so one thing we're excited about, we just rolled out game schedules onto the platform. Soon is going to come game stats, injury news, things like that. Just making it easier and more fun for people to trade cards. That's really the vision.
You're on mute, Cage, but your voice sounds better than ever.
Dude, and you look great too. So thank you. We're all about compliments over here. I appreciate that. I'm thrilled about the, StarStock because it's going to allow him to stay in Mexico, which is great. Stay in Mexico. So
I'm happy here.
No Bali for you. No Bali for you. You're happy there. Okay. All right. Come on.
Today, 1:37 p.m. posted, Robinhood has more transactions than any other company, any other brokerage combined. Second, Coinbase today announced that they're IPOing. Why do I bring that up? 5 years ago, if you asked people to talk about Bitcoin, taboo. 0 fee transactions and trading. How are you going to make money? Why do I say that? Guys, now is the time to get in, as Scott has said about it. We've talked about this on the ground floor, so to speak. Because don't be surprised when StarStock in 5 years has the highest volume of cards being traded on the platform.
Oh, I expect it to. I expect it to.
You have high expectations.
No, I do. But I expect it to. Here's why, right? It's not just that. We talked about this with how many of our guests who are knee deep in the data analysis talk about buying wax, right? Talk about buying wax as a way to buy a whole draft class, sealed wax. Well, I was on StarStock last night. They have a whole segment dedicated to sealed wax. It's not just cards. It's not just a random, here you go, throw me your junk cards. You buy PSA 10 cards. If I want a Devontae Graham PSA 10, it's there. If I want a LeBron, they're going to have them. If I was sealed wax, I almost bought in my account last night. There was a 2017 Prism blaster box, like $400. I'm like, all right, I might buy that. I think it's cheap. I saw Prism basketball from this year boxes. I mean, it's concise, it's easy, it's complete, it's neat, and there's a way to basically make a bet on a player, a segment, a sport, a sealed box. And if you're really, Scott, if what you're saying is right, and you're going to have, basically like in-game stats, a schedule in there, it's like a one-stop shop for investing in a sport, investing in a player. I see it unfold where tonight, Thursday night game, you're going to have people go in there and buy the StarStock A Henry Ruggs cards now. And then when he goes out there in the first quarter and has a touchdown, you're going to have people selling those cards. It's just so not only, I can't tell Luca Nation can tell. I'm excited, right? When an idea like this comes, because it doesn't just replace what's wrong with the marketplace now. It's creating a whole new way of dealing in cards. It really is, because right now you don't go on eBay buying Henry Ruggs to sell them in the first quarter tonight. That's absurd. But you can do it on this platform.
Yeah. I mean, should I grade him or not? I think that's right.
So
You should just a little notice for people. I don't know when this is airing, but you shouldn't buy his cards because he's out. He's injured.
So there you go. Look at this. StarStock gives you the research. They give you the research. I love it.
That's what we're doing here.
You get the point if it's Herbert or whoever it may be. But yeah, I mean, 100% accurate, right? I mean, that's a crazy, crazy thing. That's a game changer, just like you're talking about with Robinhood and Coinbase, Andrew. It's a great comparison. I tried to call them Netflix with cord cutting, but you're right. It's more of a trading platform, and it will. Charles Schwab's having a heart attack. He's rolling over in his grave. I don't even know if he's dead, right? Because of what Robinhood's done to the industry. It's the same kind of thing. It's disruption, right? That's amazing.
Last question, Scott. As a Knicks fan, what do you think of the offseason moves?
The fourth quarter last night was awesome. Hell of a comeback. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but we came back. I think we were down 14 going into the fourth, and we came back with a roster where our oldest player was Obi Toppin at 22 years old.
Yep.
So that was exciting. But if I hadn't watched the game last night, I don't know. It was a fine off season. Not overly excited. But, I'm 25 years old, so I've never been alive for a really good Knicks team. So that's kind of,
I have.
I've trained myself to not get overly excited, for the Knicks. Maybe that's why I'm really into basketball cards, is because I've had to train myself over these years to just like the players instead. And obviously that's kind of a trend that's happening in sports, especially basketball already. But when you're a Knicks fan, like, you learn pretty quickly to find some exciting players that you like and to really attach yourself to them. And so it was a very exciting offseason for the Knicks. I think we'll see how the draft pans out. I love the Quickly pick at 24, and he looked awesome last night. He played point guard. He was great. I think he finished with 7 assists. He distributed the ball well. So if he turns out to be as good this season as he was last night, that's going to be one of the steals of the whole entire draft. And that will, I think, make this a good off season. If he kind of pans out, and then we'll see what happens with Obi. Really hoping that, that he can develop into a star.
I love
it. I will say your college, like, the reason I think about Quickly is because you watch college basketball. Kentucky underperformed, but he was super good on that team, and you're like, this guy could move. He's quick. Guys,
you could get hired as a GM in the NBA and just have a rule like only draft Kentucky guys. You might do solid. You might keep your job for a few years, right? You just sign Kentucky players and draft Kentucky players. You might do fine.
The best available Kentucky player on the board.
How about that as a card strategy? Maybe.
I like it. I like it.
They know what they're doing there.
Luca Nation. I hope you guys found as much value from today's episode as we've gotten. I hope, Scott, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I wish you all the success, and I hope we're in a partnership one day together, because I truthfully believe in you. I believe in the business. I believe in StarStock, and Cage and I, we both wish you all the success in the world.
I appreciate that.
It's not a hope. I'm stepping on his toes. We're gonna make it happen.
The feelings are mutual, guys. The feelings are mutual.
It's rare when it happens, when we know we're gonna bring a guest on, and I do research on it, and I want to learn about the company. But this is one we're definitely gonna do. Luca Nation, we're gonna be bringing you, definitely something with StarStock, because when we talk to you guys, these are all of the issues that you have with the hobby, the same stuff that I'm talking about today. And it seems to me like as StarStock continues to add more cards to that vault, and as there are more users to it, and they start to get some real absorption rate going, they're going to be able to help a lot of our listeners with some of the problems they have with the hobby and continue to let the hobby grow. So, Scott, you're going to hear from us. I promise you that.
You'll hear from me as well. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.